Greetings and welcome to the 5th episode of Learning Godot. First, I need to congratulate myself for going for more than a month without quitting. That is, well, it's only a small milestone, but it's quite interesting to see that the first steps of making a habit is the most important and usually the hardest to achieve. So, let's get back to the technical stuff. I finally, after 2 weeks, implemented the movement logic and the AI for enemy units. And this is heavily influenced by Game Endeavor's video of making combat interesting, which each enemy unit has a heuristic vector that kind of influences its movement and kind of circles around the player object. The benefit of that is it creates kind of a chaotic movement once more parameters are involved. For now, the player mech is more or less the only major source of attraction and repulsion in this game. And secondly, there's a few more areas I've implemented. As you can see, there is already interactions. The enemy can be hit by the player bullets, and the player bullets can also hit the enemy. I haven't really implemented the death conditions, but it kind of works. And it's very interesting to see that how different components work together. For one, the movement logic is finally implemented. When it's moving, it steadily depletes the movement gauge, and when you're stationary, it slowly replenishes. These are quite simple, but already leaves out the kind of the interface to add in more components into the game later on. And another interesting thing is, another, I guess, major achievement for the last week was that I moved enemy units and logic as well as the player logic onto the state machine. Also, tutorial by Game Endeavor. The game logic as well as the unit logic makes it very easy to implement new things. The modular designs of the state machine makes it very, very easy and achievable for a lot of different concepts, which I find very interesting. So the one major benefit of the state machine transfer is that I can achieve stuff like this once I change a few parameters. Is I can have friendly units that attacks the enemy for me, and this kind of applies for all the units I'll create from now on. And I think one major pull or one major reason I created this was to kind of implement the idea of different unit interaction in my head. The game I wanted to create is something that can properly adjust or properly demonstrate the AIs of the enemy, in the sense that looks like this part is a little bugged. That's not expected behavior. Either way, I wanted to make sure that the enemy can actually not only attack, but also cooperate between each other. So when there's one-on-one enemy interaction, it does look a little erratic. I might need to adjust a few things. But that's only a show of concept for now. I'll add in more later on to show other more interesting stuff. All right, the other major thing I did was I continued the procedurally generated animation route to learn a little bit about 3D rendering and inverse kinematics. After about a few good hours of learning and creating the armatures in Blender, exporting it to the Godot, I finally realized the tutorial I was following doesn't work anymore because the 3D stack model or something was deprecated. However, I was able to make something work with a very, very crude and rudimentary controls. It looks alright, I suppose. And the top left is a poorly implemented pixel shader that I want to move towards. it's more of a fun passion project at this point. This part isn't the main focus of my game learning journey, but it's kind of interesting to see, and it really sparks my interest of, when I was young, I really liked mechanical movements, to even get into engineering in the first place. So, although I believe just a few hours before recording this update, the tutorial I was watching had an update about a different way to create a inverse kinematic robot in the Godot 4 stable version. So I may look into that next week. And that concludes the progress of the 5th week of learning Godot. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.